What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're covering the Canadian Grand Prix. As you can see in the driver's standings, we are absolutely smashing it so far. Let's keep that run going for the Canadian Grand Prix, a track that I normally do pretty well at. Jumping straight into qualifying, let's see if we can continue our, I'd say, I don't want to say dominance. I don't feel like I've been dominant so far this season. I've just been consistent, where some other guys who are the main contenders, they just haven't been as consistent as what I have. But here we are, qualifying one, ultra soft tyres, hoping to get through on the one set that we always do. First lap is alright, it's a 12.8. I didn't feel like that was good enough to get myself through to the next part of qualifying, believe it or not. So I went again, improved by 0.5, and went P4 for the time being. It eventually got me in like the mid-teens, as you can see there, P15, and only half a tenth away from being knocked out in qualifying one. So there's absolutely no way I'm dominating this championship. When it comes to the early part of the weekend, I always seem to struggle, but I don't know. This little old game is a little bit weird sometimes. Qualifying 2 now, going out on the old set of it's the ultra soft tyres that I used in the first part of qualifying. It wasn't a great lap, so we went out again. I was always planning to do 2 runs, and just using the brand new set here at the end of the session, seeing if I can improve to get myself well inside that top 10 where we need to be. I did consider going onto the super softs for this session, but I just didn't feel like I had the pace overall to get myself out of this session, so I thought it was probably better off to save the super soft sets for the race. But here we are, the end of the lap. We're going to improve by 8.5 tenths, and that should get us through to qualifying 3. It does, in fact, by, again, a very tight margin, less than a tenth as well, safe into the next session. Lewis Hamilton, not really on the pace either, well over 2 tenths away from pole in P6. So, absolutely mental. Mercedes is a little bit off. The field is very close at this racetrack as well, which further elongates the, I don't know, the lack of pace that we have at the moment. But if we can hook things up, I think we might be starting in a good position for this Canadian Grand Prix. Qualifying 3 now, and I actually decided to go out on track right at the start of the session, and that was because it was starting to rain right from the outset. So I made sure I was one of the first cars here to get a lap in, because the track was really only going to deteriorate from here with the rain coming down fairly heavily over the next few minutes. It's at 11.3. It didn't turn out to be very competitive though, only 9th, and then getting demoted to 10th while it was raining. So Daniel Kvyat, I went out again, by the way, and there was absolutely no way I could have improved. So Kvyat has improved in the wets. It's a little bit scripted how the AI can still be driving very competitively and very fast on a wet track. The times in qualifying are always simulated and not taken from the cars driving around on the racetrack. So that's something you always have to contend with, which is always frustrating when you get to a semi-wet track kind of wet session. But there we go, that's qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix. We are definitely out of position for this one, so P10, we've got a lot of overtaking to do for the race.
There is, as I look out of my commentary box window, a very large and very excited crowd here today, eagerly anticipating another memorable race. Lewis Hamilton took his maiden win on this circuit in 2007. Jenson Button came from last place to win here in 2011. And there's certainly no shortage of drama on offer here at the Canadian Grand Prix.
And Max Verstappen went from like P17 or something like that to finish on the podium in the Chinese Grand Prix just over a week ago. So there should be absolutely no excuses for me today. A wet session as well, set to hit about 10-15 minutes after the start of this Grand Prix. So we could be in for a very interesting race strategically. It doesn't matter where you start in this race, as long as you can make the right calls at the right times, it could absolutely make your race.
We're expecting light rain to arrive within 15 minutes.
There you go, there's the call from Jeffrey. 15 minutes until light rain, so I'd imagine that is going to hit right around the cutoff point between the ultra soft tyres and going on to the second stint. So drivers who are on the super softs, or maybe even the softs for the start of this Grand Prix, are going to be able to go straight onto an intermediate tyre. So the likes of Sainz and everyone behind me are in the box seat to gain a lot of track position once that rain hits. But here we go. for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. 5 red lights, and away we go. Kvyat gets a nice start. I can't really do anything against him because there's just a wall of cars heading into turn 2 now. Alonso, Hulkenberg try and go around the outside of them. We're on the white lines. Hulkenberg cuts in front of me and takes P7. What can I do against Fernando Alonso though? He's on my outside. I get up the inside of him and we move inside the top 8 with both the Ferraris just up ahead, squabbling quite hard for P5 and 6. We go up the inside of Hulkenberg and also one of the Ferraris in the form of Sebastian Vettel, still hanging around the outside through here. And this has been a very productive start for us so far in this Canadian Grand Prix. There goes Sebastian Vettel. He's actually going to get mobbed by one of the Force Indias as well, heading through to the middle sector. Now look at the big air gap to Raikkonen just up ahead. All of that time lost just by trying to hold on to my position, battling away with Sebastian Vettel. But there we go. That's the first lap done and dusted. We've survived. We can move on and try and chase down our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who is now arguably our biggest rival in the championship. But lap 2 here, guys are getting tangled up with each other. Hamilton gets an absolutely terrible run while trying to negotiate Max Verstappen on the exit of the Wall of Champions, and we have absolutely taken advantage of all of those guys. What's that? 3 or 4 positions just gained in one corner. The AI have been always so bad at racecraft. Just through that one corner alone, it costs them so much when they're in trains. But I'm definitely not going to complain here as we join on to the end of lap 4 here. This is Verstappen right in front of us. You'll notice that we're in lean revs and actually lifting off in the braking zone. Didn't want to go for the move here. I just wanted to sit behind Verstappen here, save a bit of fuel, look after my tyres. I might be extending this tyre stint by about 3 or 4 laps longer than what I want to, waiting for the rain period. So it makes sense here. Yeah, it makes sense here to just chill here for a little bit, see what Verstappen's doing. It looks like he has the pace so far, sets the purple lap, and he's actually closing in on his teammates. So all I'm doing here is just sitting in the slipstream, letting Max do all the work, letting him burn all the fuel while I save fuel and look after my tyres. It makes sense to just sit here while Max is laying all the groundwork. Once he gets close to Ricciardo, then I might make a move to overtake him. We go purple on lap 8 now. Lewis Hamilton has stopped on this lap as well, and I decided maybe it's worth making a pit stop, and that's what we're going to do. Stopping at the end of this lap, we're going to be putting on the soft compound tyres, and this should take us through to the next rain period. Surprisingly, the Red Bulls haven't responded. They're going to stay out and potentially wait for the rain to hit. Now that's going to be very risky. It's still another 10 minutes away, so this might cost Red Bull the lead of this race here. Myself and Hamilton have been proactive with the strategy, going for the undercut, and this might pay dividends here in the next few laps. This is kind of the area we're going to rejoin in. One of the Manas, a Renault, and a Toro Rosso. They passed me on the right-hand side, but I've got the shortcut run straight through to turn 2, and we overtake those guys. Hamilton is actually held up behind them as well, so Hamilton, he tried to pull off a really good strategy there doing the undercut, but unfortunately couldn't emerge in a good gap. So he got held up in traffic, and that might be telling for his race today. We have emerged in the perfect gap right behind Sebastian Vettel, who hasn't made a stop. We overtake him in rich revs with the DRS, and I think we might fly past Alonso as well, who hasn't made a stop. He pulls into the pit lane and makes his first service of the Grand Prix. Still, the Red Bulls haven't made a stop yet, so we're going to get a massive undercut on those guys. Sebastian Vettel gives me a bit of a touch-up heading into turn 1, which is appreciated. There's a live feed of where the Red Bulls are. Only 20 seconds, maybe even less to those guys. So we're definitely closing at the moment, and the longer that they stay out, the less of advantage they have in this Grand Prix, especially if they make a stop before the rain hits. We go purple again, further cutting the gap to the Red Bulls, and I think this is Daniel Ricciardo who has had enough. He's decided that he can't stay out any longer on his ultra soft tyres, goes to the softs as well to replicate the strategy I had. Now, Ricciardo had about a 3-4 second lead over Verstappen and myself, so this is going to be interesting to see where he rejoins versus us. He actually comes out in front of us, so Ricciardo must have been lapping, you know, really quickly in the period that I was on the new tyres to actually retain the lead despite giving away a 3-lap undercut is very impressive. The Red Bull has some serious race pace in this Canadian Grand Prix. He's got a massive advantage now, like fresher tyres, but how long is this advantage going to stick around for? We know the rain is only a few laps away now, so if we can just stay with... Well, we've overtaken him. Can't even keep up with all the action that's going on the screen, but yes, we have overtaken Daniel Ricciardo now, so we are well and truly in the game now as the rain starts to fall here on lap number 13.
This rain is not likely to go away soon. Heavy rain in 10 minutes' time.
A few moments later.
We think there's a viable strategy change available to us. Would you like to keep to the current plan or try the new one?
So in the last minute or so, lots has been happening in this Grand Prix. The rain has all of a sudden come out of nowhere. Daniel Ricciardo is now diving into the pits at the end of lap number 13. The engineer was not telling me to pit at the end of this lap. He wanted me to stop on the next lap, but the DRS has now been disabled, and the AI once again have timed their pit stops to perfection, whereas us, we're staying out on a wet track on dry tyres, and this could end disastrously for us. You can see us losing the back end like crazy. The track has just got so wet in the last 2 laps. It's ridiculous. We overshoot the hairpin, and I'd hazard a guess to say that we've lost 5 seconds, maybe even more time, to Daniel Ricciardo, who stopped on the previous lap. Verstappen, as well, in the same boat as myself, had to stay out the extra lap. He had to stack behind his teammate, and now he is probably going to be nowhere in this Canadian Grand Prix. Into the pits we go for the intermediate tyres. I imagine Daniel Ricciardo has already overtaken us on the straight, or he might just be able to... Yeah, he's already flown past us. So at the halfway point, things are looking very, very dire for us. We actually lose a position to Raikkonen and Hamilton as well. So despite Hamilton having that massive disadvantage of being caught in the traffic just a few laps ago, he's now in front of me. And now this is, I think, Verstappen overtaking Raikkonen and making a charge towards myself. I actually made a mistake at the hairpin once again and almost get snapped up there by Verstappen. So the next few laps of this Grand Prix are going to be crucial. We're going to heavy wet conditions in just a few moments' time. So again, we're going to have to time our pit stops to perfection in order to make up some time on the AI. We can't afford to make another mistake in staying out too long, or maybe even coming in too early for the set of wets. We'll have to, I don't know, play it safe and just do what the AI do, just to make up some time. Up the inside of our teammate here, into turn 1. A bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there, but we hang it in there and keep it clean. Round the outside, we've taken back P2, and Hamilton will be absolutely furious that we've taken his position away in just a short space of time after getting it back. Look at that. Absolutely awesome between the two teammates in the wet. I was absolutely on the limit of grip there. You can see I actually lost the back end there on the exit of turn 3 as well. And this is the onboard from Hamilton. I went in a bit deep there, locked up the inside front brakes, and that sent me into Hamilton a little bit, but it was such light contact that it really wasn't anything, and we both survived. Here's a replay of both of our onboards at the exact same time. I really like this shot. You can see just the side-by-side action between the teammates. It was probably the overtake of the race for me personally. At such a crucial time as well. We needed to get in front of Hamilton because now we need to chase down Daniel Ricciardo in the intermediate conditions for the race win here. I'm hearing over the radio that there's an issue for Jolyon Palmer, who at the exact same time as me overtaking Hamilton gets an engine failure, and that's him out of the Grand Prix. Jolyon Palmer doesn't have good luck in real life and doesn't have it in the game as well.
Safety car deployed. The safety car has been deployed. Watch your delta. Make sure you keep it positive as we catch the pack.
So the safety car is now out on lap number 19 of 35. Hamilton, what are you doing?
Give that position back. We are under safety car conditions and cannot overtake.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you going to let my teammate overtake me under safety car, and then as soon as I try and get my spot back, you say, nah, that's illegal, fam. You got to give that back. That's ridiculous. That Hamilton has actually overtaken me while I was still trying to adjust the delta. If I was over the delta, then Hamilton was as well. Absolutely ridiculous.
This heavy rain will last another 10 minutes before we see it transition over to light rain.
But Okay, we just have to deal with that. I decided while my chips were down, I was going to pit for the wet tyres because we're expecting heavy rain to hit any second now. And I'd expect that the AI might switch to wets as well during this safety car period. If they were smart, that's what they do. But quite often, they're not really smart. They kind of wait until the last second to change their tyres. And here we go. This is Daniel Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton into the pits for a set of wet tyres. So we're going to get those positions over those guys as well. Verstappen stays out to maintain the lead. And Hamilton gets held up in a massive train of cars who have all stopped for wet tyres as well. So maybe that's instant karma for Hamilton overtaking me during safety car. I'm not too sure.
Lewis is sat in P8, so the gap to our teammate is 17.2 seconds. They're on fresh wets.
So it's going to be a long road to recovery for Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix. 13 laps to go and 8 positions to find. The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Verstappen still on the intermediate tyres. What is he going to do at the end of this lap? Is he going to stay out on the intermediate tyres and wait for the track to go back to winter conditions? Because it might do that in a short space of time, but it might get even worse and he might just completely fall off the planet in terms of lap time. What does Verstappen do? He goes into the pits and he's put on the wet tyres. So with 13 laps to go in this Canadian Grand Prix, we have taken the lead once again. And this race has just been such a seesaw ever since the start. We started down at P10. The Red Bulls had the ascension. I got into the lead, lost it again. And, wow, now we're back on top. Once again, we've actually locked up. Speaking of being back on top, we've thrown away the lead again. There's just some kind of leader's curse that's going on today in this race. I don't know what it is, but Ricciardo, that's a word pronunciation of Ricciardo. I've seen much worse, to be honest. We go around the outside of our fellow Australian. And that Mercedes straight line speed coming in props for us as we go through the final chicane. And all of the AI are pulling into the pit lane. Are they already going back to intermediate tyres? I'm not too sure. But as you look in the pit lane, nobody is servicing their cars. So they must be serving drive-through penalties? Why are they all serving drive-through penalties? Look at this, we've got so many cars. Raikkonen, Sainz, Hamilton, Bottas, Rio Haryanto, Pascal Wehrlein. The only people who aren't in the pits is Vettel and Verstappen. That's mental. Like, literally the entire field is in the pit lane for some kind of penalty. And here it is. Speeding under the safety car. I counted up all the cars that got penalties. It was 19 cars. 19 cars getting penalties for speeding under the pit lane. Maybe that's why Lewis Hamilton overtook me, is because he was speeding, and so were the rest of the AI, you know, not sticking to their delta, but that's absolutely mental. Here's the battle for 4th place, by the way. The battle of the leaders who all got penalties. The other 2 guys who were battling over 2nd and 3rd, they didn't get penalties, so that's really just a battle of the rest, and Romain Grosjean is heading that queue. Team radio.
Okay, I reckon we could probably get away with intermediate tyres now. You're going to find it harder and harder to keep the wets cool from here, but the inters should be easier.
Thanks for that one, Jeff. Maybe one of these laps I might listen to you and follow you. Oh, wait, no, I've already come in for the inters, you idiot. But either way, we carry on to lap number 32 here, and from here on in, it was much easier to hold on to the lead. We, had that 10, 11 second gap to the AI who all served penalties, apart from Verstappen, who was a long way back from us anyway. This is us pushing on here on lap 33, making very light contact with the wall as we try and push the boundaries of the conditions, but we weren't fazed by the AI, by the conditions, by anybody today. We kept it clean and made sure that we didn't make any mistakes for the rest of the Grand Prix. Through the final corner now, and this is all academic now. We're getting used to this winning thing. A win in Spain, a win in Monaco, and now that's our 3rd win in a row at Canada.
Nice work, that's P1. Race win, well done.
There we have it, guys. That has been the Canadian Grand Prix. Another stellar race. in terms of the championship, it must be said. That was a really interesting race in terms of strategy. Just like, it was such a yo-yo of a race. We started off down in P10, fought our way to the front with Verstappen, got the undercut, and then the rain came, and that completely sent us back through the field. When the wets came out, that's when we found our way back to the front. Then the AI had penalties. It was just a absolute mad race. Just people just absolutely everywhere. Topsy-turvy race, it must be said, but I don't know. There's just another really good result to add to the championship tally. We're getting quite used to this winning thing, and yeah, we're looking very, very good for the drivers and the constructors. But that's been this video for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the Canadian Grand Prix. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 game videos. I think the next track is either Austria or it's Baku. If it is Baku, then we're in for a pretty tough race, it must be said. Another tough track for the players to be competitive against the AI. So it's going to be interesting to see if this winning streak can continue into that race. I don't think it will, but it's going to be an awfully good challenge nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next video, guys, I'll see you next time.